They betrayed me for love. Now they're homeless, I'm living the dream. So, she pulled a fast one and ditched me for my best bud. Classic, right? Little did she know, I was raking in a cool $500,000 a year on the down low. Oh boy, do I recall the precise second Avery chose to hit the self-destruct button on our marriage. There she was, lounging at the kitchen table, scrolling through her phone like she was the queen of chill, totally carefree and loving it. As I casually strolled in from work, prepared to set aside my bag and relax, she casually glanced up and declared, "Logan, I want a divorce." Talk about a plot twist. No fluff, no sugarcoating, just a straight-up, cold hard truth tossed out there like she's chatting about the forecast. I hit the pause button on life for a hot second, wondering if my ears were playing tricks on me. "Wait, what now?" I asked, keeping my cool even though there was a tornado of emotion swirling around in my gut. I said I wanted a divorce, and she repeated it like I was a goldfish trying to remember where I left my keys. Thanks for the clarity, Sherlock. I probably should have been fuming, maybe even a little heartbroken. Instead, I was hit by her boldness like a ton of bricks. Splitsville, huh? After all the wild rides we've had together? And that's the thing that really got me in the field. I can't keep living like this, she huffed, crossing her arms like a toddler who just got told no. I'm on the hunt for a go-getter, someone who rolls up their sleeves and gets stuff done. Whoa, hold up. This isn't exactly the adventure I thought I was getting into. I totally just blinked. Not working, huh? I was totally ready to burst out laughing, but I played it cool instead. For ages, I've been hustling my way up the career ladder, raking in a six-figure salary and crafting a future that would make most folks green with envy. So, like, Avery? She never even thought to ask about my job, not a smidge of curiosity about how I cash in those bucks. It looks like she figured I was just cruising through life, barely scraping by like a pro. I propped myself up on the counter, giving her the old once-over. She was strutting around like she owned the place, totally convinced she was making the best call ever. "Okay," I said, casually dropping my bag like it was a hot potato. She cocked her head to the side, looking all kinds of surprised. "Hey there, all good in the hood? You got it, Avery. If you're itching for a divorce, hey, I won't stand in your way." For a hot second, I caught a glimpse of doubt dancing across her face, but she swiftly swapped it out for that oh-so-familiar smug grin that I've come to know and love, or maybe just tolerate. Awesome, because I've already had a chat with a lawyer. Time to pack your bags and hit the road by the end of the month, my friend. Time to pack those bags and hit the road, huh? About my crib? This woman's nerve was so outrageous, it could have been a stand-up routine, but I decided to keep my mouth shut. If she wanted me out of here, I'd be out faster than a cat at a dog show. For the time being. "Alrighty then," I said, making my way up the stairs like a pro. I could totally sense her laser beam stare, just itching for me to blow up, plead, or throw down some epic debate, but I served her a big old plate of silence instead. So there I was, perched on the edge of the bed like a cat contemplating life choices, just letting the whole situation marinate in my brain. This wasn't about splitting up the Netflix account. This was all about flexing those power muscles. Avery was on a mission to make me the poster child for relationship flops. I guess she thought if she played the guilt card just right, I'd be begging and pleading like a puppy for a second chance. Classic move, right? Turns out, she didn't have me all figured out like she thought she did. The days that came after were like a how to guide on passive-aggressive antics. Avery suddenly turned into a chatty Cathy, critiquing everything from my laundry folding skills to my evening shenanigans. She went all out, throwing shade at my hobbies, my quirks, and even my coffee-making skills. Ouch. It felt like she was on a mission to paint me as the bad guy just to make her choice look good. And then there was Tyler, my so-called best friend. At first, I was like, okay, whatever, about her constant name-dropping of Tyler, like, Tyler said this, Tyler suggested that. But then it hit me like a ton of bricks, this dude was way more than just a buddy in her book. I totally skipped the whole confrontation thing with her. I wasn't ready to show my cards just yet. Oh, I totally let her believe she was the boss of the situation. I played the part of the oblivious husband, totally clueless about the chaos unfolding right in front of me. Who knew I could be such a good actor? So there I was, cramming a suitcase full of my must-haves, when Avery decided to play the role of the sassy doorframe guardian, arms crossed and a cheeky grin plastered on her face. "So, have you nailed down your crash pad yet?" she asked, her voice oozing with that classic "I'm so much better than you" vibe. I zipped up the bag and spun around to face her like I was in a dramatic movie scene. No need to stress over me, Avery. No worries, I'll be just peachy. She let out a big ol' huff, clearly not a fan of my chill vibes. Awesome. Tyler and I are throwing a dinner party here next weekend, and it's going to be a blast. It'd be super weird if you were still lurking around, wouldn't it? Oh, a dinner party? Count me in for the food and fun. In my humble abode? Chillin' with my ride or die? The audacity was nearly awe-inspiring. No need to stress, I said, hoisting the bag like a champ. I'll be out of here way before that. As I strolled by, I couldn't help but notice her oh-so-smug grin. Seriously, it was like she just won the lottery of life or something. She was convinced she had it in the bag. She totally thought I was sneaking off in shame. But little did Avery know, she just handed me the spark to set off this whole fireworks show. If she felt like playing with fire and turning everything to ash, who was I to stop her? And then, I just sit back and enjoy the show as the flames turned her and Tyler into crispy critters. Sometimes, the ultimate payback isn't about yelling or throwing punches. It's like a ninja in a library, total silence. It's all about that good old patience, my friend. It's like handing someone a shovel and saying, "Go ahead, dig your own grave," while you just chill and get ready to toss the dirt on top. Classic move. Oh, you better believe I was just warming up. Betrayal? Oh, it's like that sneaky little gremlin that shows up when you least expect it. It doesn't roll in with a marching band or a shower of confetti. Nope, it tiptoes in all sneaky-like, dressed up as friendly chit-chat and innocent little gestures. Then one day, you roll out of bed, and suddenly everything you thought was rock solid is looking more like Swiss cheese. Avery throwing in the towel and asking for a divorce? Yeah, that was the first sign things were about to get real interesting. What came next was the slow-motion disaster of everything I thought I had figured out about her and Tyler. Oh, absolutely, Tyler. My ride or die, or at least the dude who's been rocking that title for ages. Well, I totally should have seen that one coming, but you know what they say, hindsight is like that friend who always shows up late to the party. At first, it was like a ninja in the night, sneaky and barely noticeable. Avery's been dropping Tyler's name like it's the hottest gossip in town. Oh, Tyler mentioned this, or Tyler suggested that, she'd toss out like it was just another dish on the dinner table. I just give a casual nod, not really giving it a second thought. Well, he was basically our BFF, right? But as the weeks rolled by, his name started popping up in our chats like an unwanted party guest. So there I was, enjoying a perfectly normal Saturday afternoon, when bam! The first real red flag popped up, and let me tell you, it twisted my stomach like a pretzel. Fun times, right? Avery just strolled back from one of her epic lunch dates with Tyler. She was cracking up, her cheeks all rosy like she just won the lottery or something. Haven't seen that in ages. When I asked her what was so hilarious, she casually responded, "Oh, it's just something Tyler said." Trust me, you just wouldn't understand. I just don't get it, man. When did I become the spectator in my own marriage, peering in from the outside? Turns out, the answer was lurking around way before I was ready to own up to it. I began to see things a bit more clearly. She'd tap out those texts with a cheeky grin, and then bam! The phone's locked faster than you can say sneaky. You know how she'd throw on her best outfit like it was a fashion show every time she had a date with Tyler? Classic move. The classic "we're just friends" excuse, huh? Classic move. Or how I was totally spiraling in my own head. Thinking way too much, like a pro. The classic go-to for every guilty party looking to pass the buck. Classic move, right? Well, I still haven't had the guts to face her, though. What was the whole deal with that? Oh, she'd just play the denial game, twisting the story so I come off as the jealous hubby who can't handle her hanging out with the guys. Classic move. So, I let her believe I was totally oblivious, too caught up in my own drama to see hers falling apart. You won't believe the plot twist. Tyler just waltzed into my house like he owned the place, and guess what? He didn't even bother to knock. So there I was, knee-deep in packing, trying to shove my entire life into suitcases like some kind of suitcase Tetris champion, when suddenly, ding-dong. The doorbell rang. As I cracked it open, there was Tyler, flashing that grin like he just won the lottery. He waltzed in like he owned the place, no RSVP needed. "Logan, buddy." He said it like we were still best pals, just shooting the breeze. "Hey there. What's the scoop?" I gave him the death stare, my patience hanging by a thread and ready to snap at any moment. "Hey Tyler, what's cooking? What do you need from me?" I asked, trying to sound as chill as a cucumber in a cool breeze. He was propped up against the wall, oozing charm and casual vibes, Just doing a little check-in. Hey there. Avery spilled the beans that you're packing up and heading out. Just wanted to check if you could use an extra pair of hands for the big move. Need a hand over here? From the dude who was basically unpacking his bags in my life. The sheer nerve was kind of amazing, honestly. I've got this under control, I shot back, pivoting to my packing like a pro. Tyler was hanging around, and when I stole a peek, I could practically see the gears grinding in his noggin. Oh, he wasn't just popping by to say hi, no way. He was here to strut his stuff and lay down the law like he owned the place. So there he was, trying to sound all serious and sincere, but let's be real, it was more like a bad acting audition. I get it, this is a tough one, but hey, life throws curveballs sometimes. Life's like a box of chocolates, totally unpredictable, and sometimes you just bite into a weird one. Stuff goes down, right? I turned to him, giving him my full attention, like a dog hearing a treat bag crinkle. I crept a little closer, making sure he couldn't escape my gaze. Eye contact, here we come. Oh, Tyler, you know how it goes, life throws curveballs, and sometimes they come back to give you a little love tap. For the first time, he totally stumbled. The cocky grin faltered, giving way to a look that was almost like, wait, what? I didn't stick around for him to bounce back. I spun around to my suitcase like it was the hottest date in town, giving him the old cold shoulder. Bye, Felicia. You've always been a cool dude, Logan, he said, trying to make a smooth exit like a ninja but totally failing as he backed toward the door. No hard feelings, yeah? Just good vibes all around. I totally ghosted them. Silence is like a ninja move, super powerful, especially when someone's just itching for a reaction. Tyler zoomed off without so much as a goodbye, and as his car vanished around the corner, I finally exhaled like I'd been holding my breath since the dawn of time. That night, as I sprawled out on the bed that was about to kick me to the curb, I couldn't help but hit rewind on the wild ride of the last few months. The missed signals, the fibs, the backstabbing drama. I could have totally lost my cool, marched up to them, and played detective, but honestly, what's the point? They'd already tossed me aside like yesterday's leftovers, just a tiny footnote in their epic saga. What they totally missed, though, was that I wasn't just some clueless, doormat husband they imagined me to be. I was all ears, jotting down mental notes and plotting my next moves like a secret agent on a mission. If Avery and Tyler thought they could just skip off into the sunset hand in hand without a care in the world, boy, were they in for a surprise. Betrayal? Oh, honey, it doesn't just pack its bags and leave when the truth shows up at the door. Nope, that's when the fun really kicks off. As far as I was concerned, I was ready to crush this game like a champ. Splitsville. It's a tiny little word for a whole lot of chaos. It's like the last page of a book where you finally close it and say, well, that was a ride. But when Avery and I strolled into that courtroom, it hit me, this was definitely not the grand finale. For her, it was like strutting down the runway, a big ol' party for what she believed was her fabulous upgrade. She rolled in looking like $1,000,000, rocking a tailored dress that practically shouted sophistication, and that confident smile. Let's just say it had my stomach doing backflips. And there, not too far behind her, was Tyler, sneaking around like he was auditioning for a role as a shadow. Oh, he totally skipped the courtroom, like, who would want to face the music? But just the fact that he showed up at all told me everything I needed to know. Classic move, right? Avery wasn't just kicking me to the curb, she was strutting around like she just won the Betrayal Olympics, wearing it like a shiny medal. Logan, let's cut to the chase, she said as we plopped down at the negotiation table, ready to get this show on the road. Let's keep this as easy as pie, shall we? Is this way more complicated than it should be? I totally caught the irony there. She was really going for it, trampling on years of marriage like it was an old rug she couldn't wait to toss out. I'm not planning on it, I said, giving her a steady look like I was in a staring contest and totally winning. The lawyer spilled the beans on the terms. She had her eyes set on the house, a few pieces of furniture, and a slice of what she believed was my tiny stash of savings. She was probably expecting me to throw down or maybe even grovel for a sweeter deal, but nope, I just stood there like a rock. I went ahead and signed every single document like it was a game of bingo, no second thoughts, just a big ol' yes to everything. Avery gave me a blink that could only be described as what in the world? So, are you cool with all these shenanigans? Why on earth wouldn't I be? I asked, trying to keep it all breezy and fun. Hey, Avery, it's just a bunch of random stuff. Go ahead, it's all yours. For a hot second, I caught a glimpse of doubt sneaking into her face, but she slapped on a smug smile faster than you can say oops. She was convinced she had snagged the victory. She was strutting off with all the good stuff. Little did she know, I was just squatting in that house like a raccoon in a dumpster. So, there I was, renting a place in my name, the very spot where I kicked off my freelancing adventure ages ago. Good times, right? So, what's the deal with those savings she thought she was snagging? Oh, that was just a tiny sprinkle of my riches. The real cash was hiding out in investments and accounts she didn't even know were on the guest list. With the papers all signed and the deal sealed, Avery kicked back in her chair, grinning like she just won the lottery. "Oh, I'm just thrilled we could tackle this like grown-ups," she said with a sprinkle of condescension. I just gave a little nod, trying not to burst out laughing. So, a week later, I threw my stuff in a bag and bounced from the house she was practically begging to keep. Bye-bye, drama. I gave her the whole shebang, just like she wanted. Chairs, bling, and all that jazz. Even those fancy kitchen gizmos she bought but never bothered to use. Taking any of it? Nah, not even close to worth the hassle. Let her enjoy her loot. Well, you know Tyler, he jumped right in without a second thought. So, my neighbor just shot me a pic of him wrestling with boxes like he's in some kind of unpacking Olympics. Classic. Avery's out there on the porch, rocking that same smug grin like it's her full-time job. They were probably daydreaming about their picture-perfect life, blissfully clueless about the whirlwind of chaos lurking just around the corner. Little did Avery know, I had already been playing detective and collecting all the juicy evidence of her little rendezvous with Tyler long before the divorce drama unfolded. Snaps, texts, and even a GPS trail that screams lunch buddies at that hotel down the street. Sure, I could have set the divorce proceedings on fire with that, but I thought, nah, let's keep it chill. Why, oh why? Dragging this out in court? Nah, that's just a recipe for a soap opera. I was craving something way more satisfying, like a plot twist that doesn't involve lawyers. I was just sitting back, popcorn in hand, waiting for karma to strut its stuff, and oh boy, did I want the best seat in the house for that show. In the weeks that rolled by, I got comfy in my new groove. My career just kept on climbing, and my bank account got a nice little boost as fresh opportunities came knocking at my door. Meanwhile, Avery and Tyler were strutting their stuff all over town, totally convinced they were the ultimate poster couple for happiness. I just played it cool and didn't even flinch. Nope, didn't pick up the phone. I totally ghosted you on the texting front. My silence was like a loudspeaker blaring in a library, and I just knew it would gnaw at them like a hungry raccoon eventually. So, one fine day, I got a message from a buddy we both know. "Hey Logan, guess what? Avery's throwing a housewarming bash, party popper emoji, she and Tyler are totally diving headfirst into this whole shindig. I just had a little giggle fit over here." Well, duh. Of course they were. Avery was the kind of gal who craved a high five from the universe, living for that sweet, sweet illusion of success. She was blissfully unaware that her sparkly new life was basically a house of cards, and guess what? The cards were already starting to wobble. So there I was, chilling in my new pad, gazing at the city skyline like it was some kind of fancy painting. Honestly, I felt all zen and stuff. Avery was strutting around like she'd just snagged the last slice of pizza, totally clueless about the big ol' slice of reality she'd actually given up. So, what's the deal with Tyler? Well, he was about to find out that swiping something that wasn't his had a bit of a price tag attached. I was totally chillin', not in a hurry at all. Revenge, my friend, is like that leftover pizza you forgot in the fridge, best enjoyed when it's nice and chilly, and trust me, I'm just warming up. Honestly, what did Avery think was going to happen when she and Tyler decided to put a label on their little secret? Maybe she was dreaming of that Instagram-worthy life, you know, with bottomless mimosas at brunch, spontaneous getaways, and all the feels of a shiny new romance. If that's the case, she was about to get hit with a reality check of epic proportions. It wasn't long before the cracks started to make their grand debut. I totally kept my mouth shut, obviously. No need to jump in, folks. They were totally nailing the whole grave-digging thing all on their own, no assistance was needed from me. The first hint that things were going south came from the grapevine, courtesy of our mutual pals. So, a buddy of mine spilled the tea that Avery and Tyler are already having a tough time keeping up with their so-called dream life. Yikes. So, my friend was like, she's throwing all these dinner parties just to flex. But I can totally hear Tyler's voice in my head. I've been living it up a little too much, and now the bills are playing hide and seek with my wallet. No shocker there. Tyler was that dude who dreamed of living the high life but wasn't exactly keen on putting in the grind. He was all about those fancy suits, shiny cars, and gourmet grub. But he just couldn't keep it together, both in the willpower department and the cash flow game. Looks like Avery didn't get the memo that she swapped her cash flow for a guy who's all flash and zero depth. And then, oh boy, the whispers about their epic showdowns started flying around. Turns out, they were more like a sitcom couple than a fairy tale duo. Folks couldn't stop chattering about the epic shouting matches echoing through the walls of their rented pad. Yep, totally rented. Avery's little trophy house from the divorce? Poof. It's vanished into thin air. She had to part ways with it after coming to the shocking realization that her wallet just couldn't handle the maintenance bills. So, out of the blue, I get a ring-a-ding from an old neighbor of mine. "Logan, you're not going to believe this," she said, practically bursting with giggles. Avery and Tyler had the landlord pounding on their door this morning like he was auditioning for a role in a horror movie. Looks like they're playing a little game of hide-and-seek with the rent money. I kicked back in my chair, and a grin snuck onto my face like it was trying to pull a fast one on me. "Whoa, talk about lagging behind," she said. 3 months, folks. Oh, come on. They're putting on a brave face, but you can totally see them sweating bullets over there. It was like a Shakespearean sonnet, but with fewer iambic pentameters and more snacks involved. Their little castle of lies was toppling over, all thanks to their own big heads. Who knew karma had such a sense of humor? In the meantime, I was all about my own little adventure. Since the divorce, my income has skyrocketed, and I'm juggling more projects and opportunities than a circus clown with too many balls in the air. I dove headfirst into my work, crafting something solid and enduring, while Avery and Tyler fumbled around in their empty relationship like two lost puppies. And just like that, Avery popped up out of nowhere. So, one evening, she shot me a text acting all buddy-buddy. "Hey, Logan. Hope you're rocking it. Hey there. Just popping in to see how the adventure of life is treating you. What's the scoop?" I pondered over the message for a moment, debating whether to respond or simply let it linger in my inbox. I could totally sense the panic lurking behind her word. She wasn't just checking in, she was casting her line and reeling in some vibes. Well, I figured, why not join the fun? "Everything's peachy keen, Avery," I shot back. "Business is on fire, baby. What's up with you?" She shot back a reply faster than a squirrel on espresso. "Oh, Tyler and I are just living the dream over here. Money's a little snug right now, but hey, we're making it work." I nearly burst out laughing. "Juggling the chaos, huh? Well, that's one way to say it. Talk about a generous helping of optimism." And then, just when you thought it couldn't get any crazier, bam! The real kicker showed up a week later. I was just wrapping up a client meeting when I caught a glimpse of Avery hanging out by the building like she was waiting for a ride to the coolest party in town. She looked like she'd just run a marathon, tired, stressed, and definitely not winning any awards for best dressed anymore. "Hey, Logan," she shouted. Her voice had this vibe I hadn't caught in ages, good ol' uncertainty creeping back in. I strolled up to her, trying to keep my face as blank as a piece of toast. "Hey Avery, what's the scoop? What's got you in this neck of the woods?" She paused, playing with her purse strap like it held the secrets of the universe. "Hey there. So, I've got something on my mind I wanted to chat about." "Hey there. Life's been a bit of a roller coaster lately, huh? How about we grab a coffee and catch up?" "Want to catch up and spill the tea?" I totally knew what she was after, but come on, I wasn't about to roll out the red carpet for her. "Hey, I'm a bit swamped right now, but fingers crossed things get better for you soon." She plastered on a grin, but I could totally spot the cracks hiding underneath it like a bad paint job. As I strolled away, I couldn't shake off that warm, fuzzy feeling of satisfaction. It was like I just aced a pop quiz without even studying. This was karma serving up a hot plate of justice, and boy, did it taste good. Avery and Tyler thought they were leveling up, but little did they know, their choices came with a price tag that would make their wallets weep. So there they were, trapped in a life that was way out of their budget, desperately trying to keep up the facade while the walls were basically giving them a bear hug. The cherry on top? I didn't even have to lift a pinky. Talk about a win. Well, they really dug their own grave, didn't they? I just sat back, popcorn in hand, enjoying the show as they faced the music for their own shenanigans. Their picture-perfect little bubble was bursting, and I hadn't even kicked off my revenge party yet. Revenge doesn't always have to be a big, dramatic spectacle. Sometimes, it's the quiet ones that pack the biggest punch. Sometimes, the best wins are the ones where you can just sit back and let your success do the talking, no words needed. Just let the truth spill its beans, and watch the results strut their stuff. I totally went ahead and did just that. While Avery and Tyler were busy juggling their picture-perfect fantasy life, I was over here living my best life as their world started to fall apart. Talk about a plot twist. My work has skyrocketed in ways I never saw coming. Who knew? Deals were flying off the shelves, and my annual income skyrocketed to a whopping $533,000. Cha-ching. I wasn't just doing okay, I was absolutely thriving. But I totally zipped it. No need to wave my success around like a flag, right? Avery had already written me off as the guy who just lounges around all day, and honestly, I was totally cool with her keeping that little fantasy alive. Why bother correcting her when her cluelessness is doing me all the favors? I ditched the outside noise and decided to throw a party for one, me, myself, and I. I jazzed up my pad to a snazzy, modern crib right in the city's sweet spot, a place that screams my new vibe. With floor-to-ceiling windows, tech that's smarter than me, and a skyline view that'll knock your socks off, it's pretty much a dream come true. It was a cozy little nest crafted from my own sweat and tears, totally free from the sour vibes and backstabbing drama that haunted the last one. My days were jam-packed with meetings, projects, and all sorts of fun stuff that kept my brain buzzing and my interest peaked. Oh, you mean my wild and crazy nights? Yeah, those are a real hoot. Those were totally my jam. I've been hitting the town more, catching up with my old pals and snagging some fresh faces along the way. Life was like a balloon floating in the sky, light, free, and bursting with possibilities. Well, let's be real, Avery wasn't totally MIA. Every now and then, I'd get a text or hear through the grapevine about her and Tyler's latest drama, unpaid bills, epic arguments, and it piling up like laundry on a Sunday. Yikes. So, picture this, they decide to throw a fancy dinner party at the rental, right? Everything's going great until, bam. The power goes out because someone forgot to pay the utility bill. Classic move. Logan, one of my buddies, was cracking up on the phone. You wouldn't believe it if I told you. Avery was totally cringing. Tyler attempted to brush it off as a little oopsie, but come on, everyone was in on the joke. Well, I didn't exactly bust a gut over here. I just nodded, soaking in that sweet satisfaction like it was a warm bubble bath. This wasn't about getting a kick out of their misfortunes or throwing their flops back at them. It was all about finding that sweet spot. They really pulled a fast one with their betrayal, and now life is just playing referee to even the score. So, picture this, I'm just chilling at a coffee shop when, bam, I bump into Tyler. What are the odds, right? He looked like he'd just rolled out of bed after a wild night, his once sleek look now a charming mess. He totally missed me at first, so I had a little sneak peek moment to check things out. There he was, all hunched over his laptop like a detective on a case, brow all furrowed and serious, scrolling through what appeared to be a treasure trove of job listings. Who knew job hunting could look so intense? When he finally looked up and spotted me, his face went through a whole mood swing. It wasn't a show-off moment, no chest thumping here, just a tiny blush creeping in. So there's Logan, just standing there like a deer in headlights, all awkward and stuff. "Hello Tyler," I responded calmly. "Could you share the details?" He paused, his eyes flitting around like a squirrel on caffeine, hunting for a way out. "Oh, you know how it is, just juggling work like a circus performer over here." "Ah, work, the never-ending saga of adulting." I raised an eyebrow, like, really? Seriously? Awesome news, my friend. He chuckled awkwardly, but his eyes were like, nah, not feeling it. "Oh, you know me, just juggling a million things like a circus performer. Busy as a bee over here." I just gave a little nod, letting the awkward silence hang out like it was on vacation between us. He squirmed like a cat on a hot tin roof before mumbling something about needing to get back to his to-do list and making a beeline for the exit. That little run-in spilled all the beans I needed. Tyler was having a tough time, and Avery's so-called perfect new life? Yeah, it wasn't all sunshine and rainbows like she thought it would be. As the weeks rolled on, Avery's messages started popping up like popcorn in a hot pan. They started off all vague and casual, like "Hey, just checking in or hope you're doing well," but come on, I knew what they were really getting at. She was dipping her toes in the pool, seeing if I'd be game to lend a hand. I just gave them the old silent treatment. The ones I actually replied to were like tiny, polite nuggets, leaving her with nada to chew on. Before you knew it, her messages were hitting you right between the eyes. "Hey Logan, I get it, we've had our spats, but honestly, I could really use a buddy right about now." "So, like, a buddy?" I totally caught that irony. Classic, right? She tossed me aside like last week's leftovers, But now that her sparkly new life is crumbling like a cheap cupcake, she's suddenly fishing for a lifeline. I didn't hit her back, not because I was being a jerk, but because, honestly, I didn't owe her a thing. Avery had made her bed, and now she was snuggling up in it, choices and all. My silence was basically shouting from the rooftops. While she and Tyler were flailing around like fish out of water, I was up in the clouds, living the dream. Opportunities were knocking like they were at a door-to-door sales pitch, my investments were doing the cha-cha, and my life was all zen and purpose-filled vibes. No need to have a showdown with Avery or Tyler, folks. No need for me to raise my voice, point fingers, or go on a quest for I'm sorry. My success and happiness? Oh, that's my ultimate payback, baby. And guess what? The best part? Oh, they totally saw that coming. They spotted it in every message I left unread, every juicy rumor about my success that floated around, and every time I strutted away with my head held high while they were left scrambling to pick up their own messes. This was way more than just settling the score. I just had to show myself that I could totally rise above all the craziness. Oh, you bet I did. Keep it down. With all the swagger. Totally. Absolutely. No doubt about it. Avery and Tyler didn't go out with a bang, nope. It was more like a slow-motion train wreck that they orchestrated themselves. Talk about a DIY disaster. I was like a fly on the wall, catching snippets from friends of friends and scrolling through social media like a nosy neighbor peeking through the curtains. Every new update was like adding another brushstroke to the masterpiece. They were totally swimming in their own ego, and let me tell you, the tide was coming in quick. Initially, Avery was all about that showbiz life, putting on a brave face. She just couldn't stop sharing pics of her and Tyler living it up at swanky dinners, vacations that looked like they were straight out of a travel magazine, but let's be real, probably weren't, and all those snapshots of their so-called perfect life. But hey, the cracks were starting to pop up like bad drywall, the dinners turned into rare sightings, and vacations? What are those? And those smiles in their photos? Yeah, they were starting to look more like a bad audition for a toothpaste commercial. And that's when the gossip train pulled into the station. Folks began to realize that Avery had traded in her polished vibe for a more let's wing it approach. Her once fabulous hair and high-end threads were getting swapped out for some budget-friendly options. Tyler, the ultimate show-off, was now rocking those one-time worn outfits like they were the hottest new trend. Before you knew it, the whispers transformed into full-on news alerts. So, picture this, a mutual buddy rings me up with some juicy gossip. "Logan, you're going to crack up at this," she said, trying not to burst into giggles. Avery and Tyler have found themselves in a bit of a pickle. So, it turns out they're playing a little game of catch me if you can with their rent, and they're months behind. Who knew rent could be such a suspenseful thriller? I lifted an eyebrow, caught off guard but not exactly floored. So, about that rent, huh? Or I was under the impression they were the proud owners of that house. Oh, not even in the same ballpark, she quipped. So, guess what? They've been playing the rental game this whole time. Rumor has it, they're about to get the boot. I couldn't help but let out a little giggle. It was like the universe decided to drop the mic on that one. Pure poetic justice, my friend. Avery went to battle for that house in the divorce, only to discover that her wallet was waving a white flag. The money woes just kept on rolling in. So, guess what? Another buddy spilled the beans that Tyler got the boot from his job. Ouch. He was still acting like he had it all together, but let's be real, he was totally in panic mode. Avery, always yapping about my lack of a 9-to-5, has never even dipped her toes into the real job pool herself. So, here they are, drowning in bills and staring at an empty wallet, watching their picture-perfect life go up in smoke. Yikes. So there I was, lounging with my coffee and scrolling through a mountain of emails when bam. A text from Avery pops up. "Hey Logan, we have to chat." Like, seriously. It's a big deal. I just sat there, staring at the message like it was a math problem I couldn't solve, before finally mustering the courage to type a reply. "Hey, is everything cool over there?" She shot back a reply faster than a caffeinated squirrel. "Nah, not really. So, Tyler and I are in a bit of a pickle, and I could really use your help here. Just a tiny loan to help us sail through the storm." "A loan, huh? Sounds like a fun little adventure in borrowing money. Who doesn't love a delightful old financial escapade?" "Wait, this is from yours truly?" I just couldn't stop chuckling at the irony of it all. She ditched me, roasted me, and paraded around with her new beau, Tyler. Oh, so now she's suddenly in need of my superhero skills? Aw man. That stinks. I wish I could lend a hand, but I'm totally out of my depth here. You've got this. I believe in your brainpower. Her reply was like molasses this time, and I could practically sense the eye rolls from behind the screen. Hey Logan, come on. Only this one time, I swear. No need to blow it out of proportion. I couldn't be bothered to reply. Well, that's all she wrote. Avery and Tyler had crafted their cozy little nest, and now they were snuggled up in it, whether they liked it or not. A week later, the next juicy tidbit of news rolled in. Well, it's official, Avery and Tyler have joined the ranks of the evicted. Pack your bags, folks. The landlord, clearly fed up with all the excuses, slapped them with a hard deadline, and guess what? They totally dropped the ball on that one. They had to squeeze into a teeny, shabby apartment way out on the edge of town. Talk about a cozy upgrade. Hey Logan, you wouldn't believe it. Our mutual buddy just spilled the beans over the phone. Wish you could have heard it. It's like a whole different planet from the life they were faking. Avery's hanging on by a thread, trying to keep it all together, and Tyler's looking like he just time traveled from a decade in the future. I totally didn't do a victory dance or anything. Nope, didn't have to do that. Their epic fail wasn't on me, it was all about the mess they made with their own decisions. Avery swapped her cozy, stable life for a wild fantasy that turned out to be as sturdy as a house of cards in a windstorm. So, what's the deal with Tyler? Well, he was getting a taste of his own medicine, and let me tell you, it was a spicy one. But the biggest clue showed up during yet another surprise run-in. I bumped into Avery at the grocery store, and let me tell you, her cart was packed with all the store-brand goodies you could imagine. She glanced up, spotted me, and just hit the brakes like a deer in headlights. "Logan," she said, her voice all wobbly like a jello on a roller coaster. "Hey there, Avery." I shot back with a totally chill vibe. She opened her mouth like she was about to drop some wisdom, but all that came out was crickets. She looked like she just lost a game of Monopoly and landed on boardwalk with no cash left. The once confident, smug woman who was all about demanding a divorce and parading her affair has suddenly pulled a Houdini act. Poof. Gone. Text "Hey there. Hope you're doing awesome," I chimed in, shattering the awkward silence like a pro. She gave a quick nod, her eyes doing the old peekaboo routine. "You too," she mumbled, giving her cart a little shove down the aisle like it was a rebellious teenager. As I watched her strut off, I was hit with a wild cocktail of feelings, like a roller coaster ride I didn't sign up for. Oh, satisfaction is great and all, but let's not forget the good old pity party. Who doesn't love a little mix of emotions, right? Avery had made her choices, and boy, did they take her on a wild ride to this very moment. This was the life she had hustled and bustled to build, and now she was stuck in it like a fly in honey. Turns out, I didn't even have to lift a finger to make her wish she hadn't done that. Classic, right? Life had already done the heavy lifting for me. So there I was, strutting out of the store, and it hit me, sometimes karma just rolls in on its own, no nudge required. All it needs is a little TLC, time, love, and care. It didn't take long for the drama to hit the fan. I totally saw that coming from a mile away. Well, that was bound to happen, wasn't it? Avery and Tyler? Yeah, they're not exactly the poster kids for dealing with consequences. It's like watching a cat try to swim, just not their thing. When their perfectly polished facade of success starts to fall apart, they go on the hunt for someone to point fingers at or someone to swoop in and save the day. So there I was, wrapping up a client call, when my phone buzzed with a number I didn't recognize. But let's be real, I totally knew it was Avery. For a hot second, I thought about just letting it ring and seeing what happens, but my curiosity was like, nah, you gotta check the hell out. I answered the phone, keeping my cool, and it was Logan on the line. Her voice was all tight and ready to break like a piñata at a kid's birthday party. "Hey Logan, we have to have a little chat." I let out a big ol' sigh and slouched back in my chair like it was a cozy beanbag. "What's the scoop, Avery?" She paused, like she was searching for the perfect words in a game of Scrabble. "All the things, you know? Like, everything under the sun. Let's talk about Tyler, shall we? Who we are and what makes us tick." I totally raised an eyebrow, but she was blissfully unaware of my eyebrow gymnastics. "Us, baby. Can you believe the audacity of this lady? Hey Avery, let's be real, there's no us here." And just like that, poof. The day you dropped those divorce papers on my lap was the day everything changed. "What's the deal with this, anyway?" She paused once more, her voice dropping like a hot potato. "We're in a bit of a pickle, Logan. Well, let's just say it's been a bit of a bumpy ride since then. Ever since the whole shebang went down. Hey, So I was thinking, how about we have a little chit-chat? Hey, how about lending a hand? I need a little assistance here. And there it was, just hanging out like it owned the place. The actual scoop behind her ring-a-ding. What do you need help with, my friend? I played dumb and asked, acting like I had no clue. She confessed, her voice dripping with a pinch of fake modesty, that her finances were a bit of a mess. Just a little cash boost to help us stand tall again. I just couldn't hold back a chuckle. Avery, you ditched me because you figured I wasn't up to snuff. So, you're saying I didn't hustle hard enough or stack enough cash for you, huh? Oh, so now I'm the cleanup crew for your little disaster, huh? Her voice got all pointy, like she was putting up a fence around her feelings. You just don't get it, do you? So, Tyler and I are currently navigating through a bit of a bumpy road. Yikes. Going through a bit of a bumpy ride, huh? I gave her a firm handshake. Hey Avery, you've made your pick. No take-backs now. You ditched me for Tyler, thinking he was the upgrade you needed. Spoiler alert, he's not. Oh, so now I'm the designated cleanup crew, huh? No way, Jose. She tried to put up a fight, but I wasn't having any of it. Hey Avery, remember when you were all about that freedom life? Unshackled from my own couch potato vibes, baby. So go ahead and soak up that freedom like it's the last slice of pizza at a party. I'm not here to be your comfy little safety net, buddy. I hit the hang-up button faster than a cat on a hot tin roof before she could even get a word in edgewise. The next meetup wasn't a phone call, it was face-to-face, baby. A week later, Avery just waltzed into my office like she owned the place, no invitation needed. She looked like she just survived a tornado, her once glamorous vibe swapped for a frantic help me kind of energy. Logan, she exclaimed, waltzing into my office like she owned the place, completely brushing off my assistant's desperate attempts to play gatekeeper. Hey, we have to chat. I kicked back in my chair, arms crossed like I was judging a talent show or something. Time's ticking, you've got just 2 minutes on the clock. Make it epic. She went off on a rant about how tough life had been for her and Tyler, how the universe was totally playing dirty, and how she was just asking for a tiny little favor. Hey, Avery, I jumped in. You've made your choices, my friend. You ditched me for Tyler, thinking you were leveling up your life. Spoiler alert, you hit the wrong button. So, how's that whole thing going for you? Her face turned a delightful shade of tomato, a perfect blend of fury and humiliation dancing across her features. Hey Logan, I get it, I messed up, but come on, no need to be a total meanie. I really thought you had it together, but here we are. Is this really the best we can do? I totally cracked up. You really thought I was a total flop, huh, Avery? You really thought I was just a hot mess, huh? Look who's knocking on my door, all desperate for a lifeline because that picture-perfect life of yours is looking a bit more like a Picasso, huh? I'm not in your debt, my friend. And just like that, as if the cosmos had a sense of humor, in strutted Tyler. He definitely had a tail on her, I mean, his timing was so spot on it could win a gold medal in the Olympics of coincidence. He looked like he'd just rolled out of a tornado, more frazzled than Avery, totally stressed, and obviously in over his head. Logan, he said, attempting to play it cool, but his voice was doing the cha-cha instead. Hey, can we have a little heart-to-heart, dude-to-dude? I popped up from my chair and strolled around my desk to give him a proper face-off. Bro-to-bro? I totally echo. Oh, so you mean like the charming little chat you had with me while you were busy playing house with my wife? Classic move. Hold your horses, Tyler. He grimaced but soldiered on like a champ. Hey there. So, here's the deal, Avery and I might have tripped over our own shoelaces a bit, but we're in a bit of a pickle. We were wondering if you could throw us a bone with a little loan, nothing too crazy, just a tiny favor. What do you say? I just couldn't help but shake my head and chuckle once more. Can you even believe it? You pulled a fast one on me, fed me a bunch of lies, and now you expect me to come to your rescue? Seriously? Wow, the nerve is truly something else, I'll hand it to you. Tyler's face was like a ripe tomato, and his hands were turning into little fists of fury at his sides. Hey Logan, no need to be a total tool about it. I leaned in a bit, keeping my voice all mysterious and serious-like. Hey Tyler, just a heads up, I'm not in your debt, buddy. You've set the stage, now go ahead and take a nap in that masterpiece. Avery called out, her voice dripping with desperation. Come on, Logan, we're totally in a pickle here. I looked at her, keeping my voice all chill and frosty. Desperation isn't going to wipe away that betrayal, Avery. You two picked your paths, and now you're stuck on this wild ride together. Alrighty then, we're done here. Catch you later. I threw open the door like a dramatic movie star and waved them out like, shoo, go on, get out of here. They just stood there for a sec, totally gobsmacked, before shuffling out like they'd just lost a game of rock paper scissors, heads hanging low like sad little puppies. When that door slammed shut, it was like a big ol' that's a wrap moment for me. They really thought they could pull a fast one on me, guilt trip me into being their superhero, but surprise. I'm not the guy they used to know anymore. This wasn't just a little payback, folks. This was all about strutting my stuff, recognizing my value, and giving a big ol' nope to those who tried to drag me down. As I plopped down at my desk, a grin just couldn't resist popping up on my face. They thought they had me down for the count, but little did they know, they just handed me my freedom card. Betrayal is like a boomerang, folks. It has this hilarious knack for coming back around and biting you in the backside. Tyler and Avery figured they could just glue themselves together and magically dodge the chaos they stirred up. Spoiler alert, it didn't work out quite as planned. But the little cracks in their relationship started to turn into some serious breakage. It was like watching a slow-motion train wreck, so beautifully tragic as they flopped under the sheer pressure of their own choices. The first hint dropped from our buddy Lila, the queen of gossip, who always had her ear glued to the ground like a dog on a scent trail. So, she rings me up one afternoon, and let me tell you, her voice was oozing with juicy gossip. "Hey Logan, you're seriously not going to believe what just happened." And so it all kicked off. "So, what's the plan now, Lila?" I shot back, chuckling at her over-the-top flair. "Looks like Tyler's been up to something. How do I say this without sounding like a total weirdo? I'm seeing someone else." I let out a good old belly laugh, the kind that had been MIA for ages. "Are you playing the field with someone else? Wait, are you for real right now?" She was totally not joking, she said. "So, it turns out Avery caught him red-handed, texting some other lady. Oops. Can you believe it? Some fresh-faced newbie from his new gig." I just gave my head a little shake, like, no way, buddy. The irony was so thick, I could practically spread it on toast. So, Tyler, the dude who pulled a fast one on me with Avery, is now pulling the same stunt on her. Classic, right? Karma didn't just play tag, it hitched a ride and ran them over like a runaway bus. The aftermath hit like a ton of bricks. Avery, the queen of confidence, just got hit with a plot twist she never saw coming. So, word on the street is that she totally went off on Tyler in front of everyone, like a scene straight out of a drama, yelling at him right in the middle of a cafe. He attempted to play it cool, but Lila was all in, savoring every juicy bit of the story. She claimed it was no biggie, but Avery totally flipped her lid. She launched her coffee at him like it was a caffeinated missile. I can totally see it now, Avery, the queen of bragging about her upgrade, now resorting to flinging lattes like it's an Olympic sport. Classic. It was like finding a unicorn in your backyard, almost too good to be true. Oh, but wait, there's more. The lady Tyler was texting wasn't just some random hookup, you know. She was a total breath of fresh air he stumbled upon at his new gig, and let's just say, she was everything Avery was not. Young, wild, and totally not ready to trade in the party for a picket fence. Tyler, in all his impulsive glory, had somehow managed to convince himself that she was worth throwing caution to the wind for. Classic Tyler, right? Oh, you better believe Avery wasn't just going to sit back and sip her tea after that betrayal. She was on a mission for answers, practically shaking Tyler by the shoulders to fix the disaster he'd whipped up. Well, you know, Tyler, fixing things was never really his jam. Instead, he went all in, pointing fingers at Avery for their money woes and claiming she was just too high maintenance. Their arguments turned into the hottest gossip in town. So, the neighbors were treated to some late-night drama with all the shouting matches, and let me tell you, more than one friend has shared tales of those cringe-worthy moments when Avery just couldn't hold back the tears right in the middle of a chat. Classic, right? So, picture this, Tyler decides to pack his bags and bail, leaving Avery stranded in their not-so-glamorous apartment, staring at the rent bill like it's a horror movie. Yikes. She rang me up again, her voice all wobbly like a jelly on a roller coaster, mixing anger with a sprinkle of desperation. "Hey Logan," she jumped right in, skipping the small talk like it was a bad dance move. "Looks like you nailed it with Tyler. What a total con artist. I can't believe I fell for his tricks." I kicked back in my chair, just soaking in her epic rant session. Sure, I could have played the sympathy card or thrown out some soothing words, but come on, where's the excitement in that? "Avery," I chimed in after she finally caught her breath. "You went ahead and picked your poison. You picked Tyler over me, thinking he was the catch of the day. So, how's that whole thing going for you?" She went all quiet for a sec, and I could totally hear her huffing and puffing on the other end of the line. Finally, she huffed, "I don't need your life lessons, Logan. I could really use a hand here." "Absolutely not," I shot back with conviction. "Hey, buddy. What you really need is to get cozy with the fallout from your choices. Embrace it like a warm blanket on a chilly night." And just like that, she abruptly ended the call and disappeared. So, it turns out Tyler decided to pull a Houdini and didn't come back. Classic, right? So, he shacked up with his new girlfriend, and guess what? She figured out he was just as flaky as Avery had been. Surprise, surprise. Last I heard, he was living the ultimate couch potato life, bouncing from one sofa to another, struggling to keep a job or a love life. Classic, right? Avery, meanwhile, was stuck playing the world's worst game of Jenga with her life, just trying to piece it all back together without toppling over again. She was jobless, broke, and completely out of options. Talk about a rough patch. Her family had pulled a Houdini on her, vanishing from her life, fed up with the never-ending soap opera, and even her friends were starting to take the hint and ghost her. The life she had hustled and bustled to create with Tyler had gone up in smoke. What about me? I didn't even have to break a sweat. Karma really pulled through for me this time, didn't it? What a champ. Isn't it just the best feeling knowing that folks like Avery and Tyler are on a one-way ticket to self-destruction? Pure comedy gold. Oh, they really think they're the masterminds of happiness, huh? Pulling all those sneaky tricks and backstabbing moves like it's a game show. But guess what? Life's got a plot twist waiting just for them, and it's called humility. Surprise. And while they were busy going at each other like cats in a bag, I was over here living my best life. My job was thriving, life was chill, and my future was shining brighter than a disco ball at a Saturday Night Fever. Text: they say the best way to get back at someone is to live your best life. So go on, shine like the diamond you are. And by that yardstick, I totally crushed it. You know what's hilarious about hitting rock bottom? When you've been betrayed, humiliated, and tossed aside like yesterday's leftovers, you suddenly discover just how tough you really are. Who knew? For me, the divorce was just the beginning of a new chapter, like turning the page on a book that got a little too dramatic. And so it all began. A shiny new beginning wearing a disaster costume. Avery and Tyler might have torched their bridge, but guess what? I'm busy constructing a shiny new one up ahead. So, after the whole divorce circus, I made a little pact with myself. I'm not about to let their backstabbing drama steal my spotlight. I'd totally rise above it, not just to get back at them, but to keep my own sanity intact. Peace, baby. And that's precisely what I went ahead and did. The first step was putting some cash into my own awesomeness. I just leveled up my living situation to a swanky penthouse right in the city's sweet spot. Picture this, floor-to-ceiling windows, furniture so minimalist it practically has a diet plan, and a view that gives me a daily reminder of just how far I've hustled. Talk about a glow-up. It was more than just a roof over your head. It was a bold proclamation, my friend. A shiny emblem of my fabulous new adventure. My career, which was already cruising along, suddenly took off in ways I never saw coming. Finally free from Avery's never-ending critiques and Tyler's sneaky shenanigans, I dove headfirst into my work like a kid in a candy store. Clients are totally picking up on it. Contracts are raining down like confetti at a parade. Guess what? My annual income just took off like a rocket, soaring to a whopping $513,000 and still going up. Cha-ching. And then, bam! Unexpected opportunities popped up out of nowhere. Thanks to my mad skills and killer reputation, I've snagged speaking gigs, teamed up with some cool cats, and even caught the eye of investors. Every win felt like a sneaky little high five to myself. Just a little reminder that I'm way more than the guy Avery thought she could overlook. I started to piece my social life back together, one awkward conversation at a time. So, a bunch of old pals who had kind of ghosted each other over the years decided to pop back into each other's lives. Surprise, surprise. Guess what? I just scored some new pals, party popper emoji, folks who liked me for my fabulous self, not just for what they could snag from me. I jumped into the event scene, mingled with awesome folks who get it, and even squeezed in some spontaneous weekend getaways just for kicks. But the biggest shakeup happened inside. I finally figured out how to give myself a high five for all the awesome things I am. Who knew self-love could be this fun? For ages, I was like a circus performer, juggling all of Avery's crazy demands just to keep her smiling, and in the process, I totally forgot about my own value. Whoops. Well, guess what? I was taking it back. Therapy was a game changer, let me tell you. Let's be real, I can't take all the credit here. Chatting with someone who's totally unbiased, like a referee in a game of emotional dodgeball, really helped me sort through the whole betrayal mess and that pesky anger hanging around. It was a game changer. So, my therapist dropped this gem on me. Hey, Logan, guess what? You're not in charge of anyone else's choices. Hey, at the end of the day, you're only in charge of how you react to their shenanigans. Those words turned into my personal battle cry. And then, bam! My creative side showed up like it just won a lottery. I had always played around with writing and snapping pics, but now I finally had the time and energy to dive in headfirst. I kicked off a blog that's like a mashup of my personal diary and some savvy professional tips, and guess what? It took off faster than a cat on a laser pointer. Folks totally vibed with my tale of picking up the pieces and flipping the script on pain to make some serious progress. Every now and then, I'd catch some juicy gossip about Avery and Tyler. So, their epic nosedive has turned into quite the cautionary saga for our old crew, huh? Same old with the latest updates, am I right? More debt, more drama, and a whole lot of what was I thinking? So there I was, sipping coffee with Logan, and our mutual buddy just had to drop the bomb. I don't get how you're so chill about all this. If I were you, I'd be ready to throw a tantrum. I just shrugged it off like it was no big deal. What's the dealio? They're totally reaping what they sow. Karma's got a front row seat to this show. No need for me to pile on, thanks. Yep, you heard it right. Watching them flail around while I was living my best life? Oh, it was like a breath of fresh air. Total freedom vibes right there. I didn't have to go all ninja on revenge or throw myself a pity party. I was just too caught up in the good life, you know? But hey, there were definitely some moments to pause and think about life, you know? So there I was, late at night, gazing out at the twinkling city lights from my fancy penthouse, lost in thoughts about all the wild stuff I've been through. The ultimate backstab. The ultimate bummer. The rage monster. It wasn't a walk in the park, but guess what? I pulled it off. And guess what? I stumbled upon a version of myself that I didn't even know was hiding in the back of my closet. More powerful than a double espresso on a Monday morning. Smarter than your average bear. Feeling like $1,000,000. Ah, life. The ultimate roller coaster ride, complete with ups, downs, and the occasional loop-de-loop that leaves you questioning your choices. Buckle up, folks. Oh, they just couldn't resist tossing challenges at me, could they? Oh, it totally doesn't. Like, ever. I tackled each challenge with a level of clarity and resilience that I never knew I had in me before. Who knew I was such a superhero? Sure, losing Avery and Tyler stung like a bee, but looking back, it was the best plot twist in my life story. They didn't just bounce, they set me free, baby. Every day was like strapping on a rocket and blasting off into the future. I wasn't just getting by, I was living my best life. And guess what? The cherry on top? I didn't need anyone's thumbs up to show it off. I had crafted a life I was totally stoked about, hanging out with folks who appreciated me, and packed with chances that made my heart race. My world was like a dazzling carnival, way more epic than anything Avery and Tyler could ever dream up. Well, as far as I'm concerned, that chapter is officially closed and locked up tighter than a drum. This was my tale, and I was penning it just the way I fancied.